This episode and every episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show is brought to you by Ironmonger Brewing. Visit Ironmonger at their tap room in Marietta, Georgia, or online at ironmongerbrewing.com.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yeah, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
And welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're broadcasting from the Juice Strikes Back Beer Festival. We are in Chamblee, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Mostly Atlanta here, right?
Yeah, it's pretty Atlanta.
Close. It's ITP, right?
This is ITP. This is officially ITP.
We are inside
Safely
the perimeter.
Inside the perimeter.
So it's lively here. It's lively here this week. There's lots of people here enjoying this beer festival. We're going to talk to a few of the breweries that are here this week, Brian. We are going to have Barrel Culture on. We're going to talk to Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave. And then we'll talk to the guys from Modern Hops. They're the ones putting on this festival. And we'll get the scoop. This is a charity event.
It is, yeah.
This is a charity event, so we'll see what charity is supporting and what this fest is all about, Brian.
That sounds very exciting. So I have on my list Paul Wasmund. He was the head brewer from Barrel Culture. We've had a chance to sample some of those beers. I've been quite impressed with those. We also have, as you said, the Jerry Nelson, the founder and head brewer from Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave. And we'll find out what the deal is with Une Annee / Hubbard's Cave, because that's been a mystery to me. I suspect it may have been a mystery to other people too. Or maybe just me.
Be interesting to get the story told.
Sure. And of course, as you said, the Modern Hops guys. And we're going to talk about juicy beers, because this is all about juice today, Tim. And you know, I'm a little disappointed that there is not au jus here. I want a fountain of au jus and French dip around it. So it can be the day of au jus as well as the day of juice.
The jus strikes back?
Yes, the au jus strikes back.
I'm being very careful in the way that I pronounce that.
I realize that there's ways of saying that could come off very offensively if you're not careful.
But a nice French dip would go really great with a lot of these beers.
Yes, it's brilliant. I think it needs to happen. A fountain like a chocolate fountain, but with au jus. Right?
I don't know. I don't know. Is that a good idea?
Everybody grab a sandwich and just dip it in the fountain as you walk by, it's between beers.
Was it Ricky Bobby that had a nacho fountain at his wedding? Or was it Cal Naughton as his buddy?
Oh, I can't remember.
When he married Ricky Bobby's wife, I think he had a nacho fountain at his wedding. Which I imagine you would be on board with as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. It needs to have little bits of like jalapeno flakes floating through it, like making the way through, like the Venetian in Las Vegas, just the little rivers of nacho cheese with little boats of jalapenos floating in it.
It's a little early in the show for us to be this far off the rails already.
Well, I have sampled a few beers, so yeah.
Becky Smalls is with us. Smalls, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I love these type of festivals. I get to try so many different types of beers. I'm sipping on the Triple Berry Mead.
Triple Berry Mead?
That's just behind us. And I keep going back to that one. And he keeps giving me these little baby pours. I'm like, nah, man, fill it up, because I'm lazy. I don't want to keep walking over there. Fill it up.
That one was recommended to me, and I'm not big on meads. I've tried a lot of them. I've tried a lot that are supposed to be highly regarded, highly rated, and they just don't do anything for me. That was really tasty.
This one reminds me of the cherry wine that we had at the Shelton Brothers Fest.
Frederiksdal.
Oh, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that one, but I do buy a bottle or two once a year of that one. It just drinks way too smooth, and then you look at the percentage of it, the ABV on it, and you're like, oh Lord, yeah, I'm gonna feel this the next day, but it's good.
This is the Juice Strikes Back,
it is,
Brian, which would indicate that the juice has struck before.
Or it was struck. The juice was struck, and now it's returning
back. Yes.
The favor.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I get right.
So it's been struck. Now it's striking back.
Well, I struck the juice last year a little bit at the day of the juice.
Did.
And we got a little bamboozled here this year because we were set up right next to a booth that has an Old Nation M43 tap handle. And we got excited because those of you that enjoyed the festival with us last year, we were set up next to the Old Nation booth with M43 poured, and that was about the first time that had made an appearance in Georgia. And as things started winding down, we were able to enjoy it, several pours quite freely. And we had a very nice time drinking M43, so we were excited to be next to it again. But really, no, just Sand City's on there instead, and also a tasty beer. But, you know, a confession from last year's show, Brian.
Hey, what's that, Tim?
So we talked with Finback and Idle Hounds, and after we taped the Idle Hounds segment, we found out that the file was corrupt. We lost their interview, but we did not find that out until about 2 hours after we had thought we finished taping the show. So what we had been doing during that 2 hours was drinking beer. So and the Idle Hounds guys had also been drinking beer. So we all got back together to record the segment again. And if you heard last year's show and that segment sounded like a bunch of intoxicated people trying their absolute best not to sound intoxicated, that would be because that is exactly what that was.
It was like the 8th segment.
It was. But we pulled it off. We got it together. We had a really good time there. This is one of my favorite festivals in Georgia, in Atlanta, and really all around, because they just have a phenomenal list of beers, a phenomenal list of breweries, and some good stuff, Brian.
If it was already high on my list, and then I saw they had a station dedicated to slow pour pilsners and lagers, and I'm drinking one of those now. I'm sipping the last of one of them now, and I'm so excited about that. I love that they did that. That's so trendy right now. That's so hot right now.
That is our current passion and excitement.
Yes.
Slow pour pills, yes. Boss pours, no.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like we should put that as a poll on our website or on Facebook. What do the viewers think?
Get some votes.
What are their
do you
opinions?
think? And the boss pour. I want to
say no to the boss pour.
My mission will be complete if I go on Twitter and I see the trending hashtags as one of those is ban the boss pour. So I'm gonna work on that. Wish me luck.
So the boss pour is right up to the lip of the cup, but the slow pour is actually over the lip of the cup. It's like taking it to the next level, Tim. But you're okay with that?
I think somebody messed up pouring, and they're like, no, I'm going to go with it. This is the boss pour. This is how I pour it. And then it just took off.
Like a boss is exactly the way someone who's had too much to drink
would say.
Would want to pour their beers.
Indeed.
So, Brian, for the beers this week, lots of great stuff happening here this week. A few that I'm excited for, Brian, some that I've actually already got into. Of course, as you mentioned, the Blue Pants Brewery out of Alabama, their Pilsner is on slow pour here. I've already got into that slow pour action. Also, the Barrel Culture Pie Time Batch Number 1, which is a fruit pie wild ale. Graham cracker notes, crusty notes, mixed fruits and berries.
I was just drinking that, and I actually had it twice. Second time, it really hit me how much that smells like a slice of pie. I got the crust too, and I'm like, wow. When that happens, when you smell crust in a beer, and it's supposed to be there, that's fantastic.
That's kind of like, remember the pumpkin ale we brewed back when we brewed beers? We got that one time that it came out fantastic. You could taste the crust in the beer there. So that was the next year. We could not recreate that. We got lucky and made one phenomenal batch.
I still blame the extract that we used. It was a change from one year to the next, and I think that as time went on, we found out that was a common complaint about it.
Got those bubblegummy notes.
Yes,
in there,
we got sabotaged by bad extract. What else, Tim?
And then the Heaven and Ale has one on called Orange Sunrise, which is a Dreamsicle beer, and I just got to try all the Dreamsicle beers.
Did you say you had that one already?
I haven't had that one yet.
I've been looking for it.
There. So that's. How about you, Brian? What have you had so far that you liked, or what's exciting to you?
So I was sipping around, and I had to make sure I tried some of the beers from the people we'll be talking to. I had the Une Annee Le Grand Monde. What a beautiful berry aroma that has. It's such a tasty beer. That's really nice. And the Hubbard's Cave Fresh One Hop Citra. And, I mean, you can't go wrong with Citra, in an IPA. That's just kind of my jam. It's well made, really nicely done. Yeah, and I also did have the Barrel Culture Erosion Theories, which, as I recall, I believe is peach and apricot together, and that was also quite nice.
Plenty more for us to get into. It's going to be a good time. Well, you're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We need to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment, and we're going to talk with Barrel Culture.
This is Mark Logus with Old Nation Brewing Company. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Craft beer forged with a reverence for tradition and new styles that start a revolution. Ironmonger Brewing. The brewers at Ironmonger Brewing pride themselves at being masters of barrel-aged, hoppy, and sour beers. They invite you to their tap room in Marietta, Georgia to taste and see. Also visit their barrel room for an intimate drinking experience with great live entertainment. Keep up to date on all things Ironmonger by liking them on Facebook. Ironmonger Brewing, establishing a new standard in craft beer.
As a brewery owner or taproom manager, are you looking for ways to enhance your customer experience while maximizing your revenues? Craft Cellar is a mobile solution that helps your brewery drive sales and attract new customers through online pre-sales for beer releases, events, and memberships. Get details now at craftcellar.com. Mention Beer Guys Radio after sign up and extend your free trial to a full 30 days. Remember craftcellar.com, craftcellr.com.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Well, I'm sure I'd feel much worse if I weren't under such heavy sedation.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you miss an episode, don't worry. All episodes are available as a podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and never miss a show. We are talking to Paul Wasmund from Barrel Culture at the Juice Strikes Back Festival.
Paul, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
It's great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Man, we are sipping some of your beers right now, and we could run our mouths about them, but we'll let you tell about what you're pouring today at the festival.
Yeah, man, we got a couple. These are my first beers that have come out since I joined the team over at Barrel Culture. So we got 2 American Wild Ales. The first is the first entry in our new Erosion Theories line. It is peach and apricot. It is very juicy, designed to be very fruit forward. We want a lot more of those juicy stone fruit notes to come out of this beer. We use the most fruit in any beer we do in the Erosion Theories. This beer is very soft, but it's also very dry. It has a great mouthfeel to it. And we actually purposefully carbonate this beer a little bit lower than our normal offerings. And that helps bring out a lot more of that juicy mouthfeel character on it.
So with the lower carb, if you pour this, will it still develop a head on it, or is it going to stay?
You can see a little bit of a head as you rouse, but it's still on par with the carbonation standards for beer in the 90s and early 2000s. It's the last like 10, 15 years we've learned, all right, we need to start bringing up our carb, and you're going to bring out a lot more characteristics of beer. But for a long time, the standard in a lot of American craft beer with amber ale, brown ale was around that carbonation level.
That's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard other sour, like fruity, softer beers, lower carbonation. I didn't realize that was a thing. Apparently it is.
Now you know. Now you know. So if you pour this with a lower carbonation, should you still leave a little headspace, or is it okay to fill to the very top of the glass?
You will get what you pay for.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Tim is wanting you to talk badly about the Boss Pour / the Iceman Pour.
The Boss Pour.
You were unknowingly being tested, Paul.
Yes.
I apologize for that. So
did I pass?
I think you did.
I think, you know what? I guess he can, because he avoided answering, which will allow as a pass.
Sidestep.
No, so the Boss Pour, and I'll be brief on this, I've rambled enough, is filling the glass all the way to the top. And there's a lot of pics on Instagram now. I'm opposed. And feel free to use my hashtag #BanTheBossPour. And we're trying to get this mission started.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that as a brewer, because it drives me insane. I'm like, hey, that's a beautiful Voss you have in your Instagram photo. It's now overflowing with beer. So this is these beers, and the same thing with like hazy IPAs, some stouts as well. That head retention is defined by so many different characteristics, from anywhere from the oil content to the acidity. So this is a beer that will not keep a very lasting head. But I still will always not pour it up to the rim. There has to be an opportunity for aromatics to collect in that glass. Otherwise, I am actually cheapening your experience. PBR, let me top you off. No worries.
Fill her up, right?
Boss Pour or PBR?
Boss Pour, PBR.
Yeah, and like you said, there are beers that do still deliver their flavor without having a lot of carbonation to carry it.
Absolutely.
There's been a few stouts here, notably from Sweetwater's Woodlands, that have been very low carb. And some people have complained about it. I think I still enjoy them just as much. I don't need it. It's just
There's something to be said for a good motor oil thick stout. It doesn't need the carbonation. The carbonation adds a little bit of a pop or a little bit of sharpness to it, like the rich chocolate, the rich coffee notes of it. You don't really need carbonation for that.
Right.
It's beautiful
It's
as
fine.
it is.
It'll
It
be
really
fine.
is. Yeah.
So, Paul, big news for you guys. So you joined the team at Barrel Culture October, is that right?
Yeah, October.
So they're fairly new with the crew, and a big change for you guys is, I think it was just a couple weeks ago, you launched your clean beer program. Is that correct?
That is, man. A long time coming, but that was part of my entry into barrel culture. It was something I could offer to the brewery and the program as a whole. But it's something we decided that was a direction we wanted to go with barrel culture. The first decision was we wanted to move into doing barrel-aged stouts, barrel-aged barley wine. I'm a huge advocate for what oak and bourbon and just overall spirit character can do in a lot of these beer styles. So that was somewhere I went with my last brewery. I started the barrel aging program there. And then when that conversation came up at Barrel Culture, it was, okay, well, where's our limit? And it was like, oh, we don't have one. We're just going to keep growing with it. So we decided on a few core styles that we will kind of surround ourselves with. We're going to be putting them out on draft and in cans over the next few months. And you should see our first bottled barrel-aged offerings out of our stout program by the end of the year.
How has the reception been, or is it out? Is there enough of it out there to gauge the reception? Because you're not known for that, you know.
No, we're not known for that. The reception has been good. We have not. It's not something we've been pushing or advertising very heavily. It's something that we've been kind of phasing in and plan to phase in over the next few months. Nothing will change with sour, and so our kind of thought process behind it with this kind of slower rollout is we want to make sure people know sour is still our priority as of right now. Nothing is going to change in our fruited sour program. We will grow it and we will diversify our sour offerings, but the clean beer is just something you'll start seeing popping up over the next few months at our releases.
And I thought it was really interesting that Barrel Culture decided to start with sours and then go to clean beers, which is just the total madman's way to go about it, right?
So backwards.
Yes and no. I mean, it's now, how many breweries do we have in this country? How many do we have in the state? What are you bringing that's new? I think the days of opening a brewery and brewing an amber ale, a pale ale, and a brown ale and putting them on tap, I think those days, there's a case going to be made, those days are over. So what do you do that's different? How do you define yourself, and what's your branding look like? For Barrel Culture, they opened up and we're like, okay, we're going to be doing fruited sours very heavily. But no, it was a very conscious decision. I think it was a great decision. But I think there was always a plan to grow beyond that initial sour opening.
Very good stuff, man.
So all of your beers are fermented in oak. Will that apply to your clean beers as well?
No, I do not plan on doing a oak fermented Pilsner at this current time. I will.
It does sound intriguing.
I've had quite a few, and let me tell you about how lovely of an experience it is to drink a oak Pilsner. No, so I'm a big fan of stainless. So oak offers a lot to sour beer. It offers a lot to beer in general. It can be used in a lot of applications and a lot of styles. However, I am also a very firm advocate for where it plays a role. So I start all of my beers in stainless. My beers then go to oak for a conditioning maturation time. I would say overall, my beers will spend anywhere from, the sour beers will spend anywhere from like 85 to 98% of their time overall in oak. But they will start and finish in stainless. So for process reasons, control reasons, I can really control the quality of the product better with the application of fruiting, etc., in stainless.
We have a brewery here in Atlanta, previously Red Brick Brewing, now Atlanta Brewing Company, and they did an ESB that they fermented in was it a bourbon barrel or just an oak barrel,
I
Brian?
believe it was a bourbon barrel.
But then they did it on nitro. So a nitro ESB that had been fermented in oak. And,
magical.
Let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Little vanilla notes in the ESB that it was magic. It was good stuff.
It was delightful. And I think the most important question we have to ask you is, superheroes, which is your favorite, and what beer would they drink at Barrel Culture if they were to walk in?
Whoa! All right, that threw me for a little bit of a loop.
Oh, I added stuff to it. Oh, I did.
You? Okay,
oh,
yeah, that wasn't on the sheet. No, so I grew up on Power Rangers. Power Rangers were, for me, my heroes, my role models. My mom did not appreciate the karate that I dropped in recess. Neither did the other kids, and neither did I. I actually was on the receiving end of most of the karate. I use Power Rangers actually as a lot of my coding in the brewery. So a lot of my base wort is named after a Power Ranger. I have a lot of barrels, and my tanks are all named after Power Rangers, awkwardly. So my favorite superhero is Spider-Man overall. I grew up a huge Spider-Man fan. I love Spider-Man. If Spider-Man could have anything, I would pour him a glass of juice because he is 16 years old.
Okay.
My Spider-Man.
We are going to have you back on because I imagine you got more stories to tell, right?
I got a few.
Good deal. Awesome. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon. And we're going to talk to the crew from Modern Hops.
Is your brewery or restaurant flooring looking a little worse for wear? Your foundation needs to be protected from heat, chemicals, and other contaminants. At the same time, you need something slip resistant yet cleanable with soap and water. ResTech has been manufacturing poured-in-place flooring since 2002 and offers a variety of solutions for your facility's needs. If your floor needs a little TLC, stop by our booth at the Craft Brewers Conference in Denver or visit our website at restech.net. That's res-tek.net.
It's Brian and Tim, the Beer Guys. If you're like us, no lunch or dinner is complete without a pint or two of craft beer.
Which is why Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock and Alpharetta are always on our list. Tim, why do they call it Truck and Tap?
Well, the tap part is easy, Brian. They've got 18 of them.
As for the truck part, that's where it gets interesting. Truck and Tap features your favorite Atlanta area food trucks daily, so that way you're getting a different menu every day.
Truck and Tap in downtown Woodstock, Alpharetta, and coming soon to Duluth in 2018. Truckandtap.com. Let them know that the Beer Guys sent you.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia. Catch Beer Guys Radio on WQEE every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Now let's talk to Modern Hops about the Juice Strikes Back, the guys that put this thing on.
We have the crew from Modern Hops here. We have Michael Lowenberg. We have Philip Barnes here with us. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Brian.
We're drinking several of the beers that you have here right now. This is the Juice Strikes Back. And as we discussed earlier in the show, it was either that they were striking again or they had been struck.
I think that the idea is if they strike back, it's because they were initially struck and they need retaliation.
That is true.
There we go.
All right.
The fun part is that we don't really know what it means either. So
as long as this festival's a good time, it doesn't matter, right?
It sounds cool.
But we were at your festival last year, the Day of the Juice, which was something totally new for Atlanta. You guys brought in a lot of breweries that had never been here before. And I'm not sure anybody's ever tried to go that route. You know, there's been times when certain breweries have debuted at a beer festival, but you guys bring in a lot that are just, some of them just come in for the festival, correct?
That's correct. That's kind of what we want to do as a distributor in general, and kind of was the game plan from day one to have a festival that brought in breweries that were not seen in Georgia, not around Georgia. We're beer traders, we're beer advocates, we love beer, and we want to bring the best stuff we can bring in Georgia.
So how is that possible? Is it a matter of having an agreement where you don't commit them to long-term things?
It's a 30-day agreement with all these breweries. Right. We register the brands for 30 days. We release them after 30 days, and we're done with that. So we have a 30-day agreement with them, and that's it.
And I'm sure that the idea is at least some of them, there will be relationships developed there that may blossom into something more.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's great. Yeah,
you guys
that's
are
what we
like
do.
the Tinder of beer distributors.
The Tinder.
Which is the good
match.
swipe, left or right?
I don't know.
I think it's
don't
a
know what
right
Tinder.
swipe.
All right,
I think it's right.
We're a right swipe.
I mean, we got some great breweries out of last year. We got Old Nation out of last year, which is a phenomenal brewery.
We saw Mark here earlier with Old Nation.
I remember last year you guys had a case of cans over here.
You
were
know,
drinking on the whole
we
fest.
mentioned earlier in the show we feel a little bamboozled, Michael.
You didn't get a case this year.
Well, that tap handle there says Old Nation M43, so we thought we were coming back here.
Well, as we know by the spot we put you in, we did not have the foresight for that, let alone putting you in the proper location.
But you could just deliver a pallet of the bottles or the cans to us, and it'll just be fine. Just
Hop City has lots, and I know you live very close to them.
But we had a fun time. Sand City is pouring there, and we've chatted with them and have a good time. And Becky drank from the keg. Now, someone who doesn't know what I'm talking about probably pictures like a keg stand in this. No, this is where they unscrewed the top of the keg, and Becky actually...
Oh yeah, they Christian is a crazy guy. So
he was in the ice box earlier. Yeah, so we don't know what's going on there.
He figured out how to get a Euro keg that we did not have a coupler for into a water keg and tap it, and then take the rest of it and pour it in people's glasses.
Science.
The MacGyver.
The MacGyver of beer.
Yeah, the MacGyver of beer.
But Christian's a good guy, so...
Well, guys, we're here having fun. We're drinking beer. We're having a good time. But this is a charity event. What's the charity you guys are supporting?
Is Georgia Transplant Foundation is really dear to our heart because our partner Eric had polycystic kidney disease, and 4 years ago had a transplant. And Georgia Transplant Foundation was the people that organized the transplant, made sure it ran off correctly, made sure he got his kidney from another state, and it was it's really dear to our heart. And Rita Michaels is a great person. She's easy to work with, and that was kind of why we stayed with Georgia Transplant Foundation.
It's very cool. So you guys are a beer distributor, and a lot of times beer distributors kind of have a bad name. What do you guys do differently that kind of sets you apart from your typical beer distributor?
Well, I think this festival is a perfect example of what we do differently, and why we're able to pull this festival off is because of the parameters we put in place, which is all the way in favor of the brewers. You know, we want to work with small, independent, unique partners who can do awesome and amazing things. And although we don't need a large volume of beer, that changes the game. And that's really what it's based on, is we can do small drops. We can be quick about it. We can have everything pre-sold. And we don't depend on the system of production. Not for Goulet. We don't depend on the system of production that larger distributors do. And so we're able to be more nimble, we're able to have a little bit more fun, and we're able to do cool, unique things like this. And the contracts that we offer, if it's even necessary at all, a handshake is always good enough for us. But the contracts we offer are written highly in favor of the brewery and allow them to do what they need to do and make the moves they need to make. And we're here to support them and help build their brands. So,
well, we're going to be talking to Une Annee here in a minute, and we actually did chat with him a little bit before the festival, and he explained how having that binding distributorship agreement really hurt his brewery. You know, so it's something if a business relationship isn't working out, you shouldn't be bound to it. Plain and simple.
No, it's straight partnership. You know, if you don't want to be with us, we're not going to keep you with us. You know, we want to be with you.
We want to build brands. We don't want to collect brands.
No, and we're gonna be very.
For some reason, they decided the exact place to cheer.
There's a cheers happening
right
in the middle of our broadcast.
You know, the thing is, you see the news stories, and people like to come up and talk to the live anchors. Well, we ask for even more trouble by going to a beer fest where we're a couple hours in now. Everybody's had plenty to drink.
Well, it's a lot of our friends, and you see your friend, and you want to go mess with him. Oh, look, he's doing a live radio show. Let me go mess with him.
Mr. Lowenberg, anybody who knows you is going to want to harass you.
What is different this year at this festival than last year?
Twice as many breweries. We brought in a arcade, a real live video arcade. We have more food options. We kept the number of attendees or tickets sold about the same, and we doubled the amount of beer. So not only is that dangerous, but it's more fun.
We had 40 breweries last year. We have 70 plus this year. So it's crazy compared to like last year.
You've also got a retro arcade here.
Yeah, retro arcade.
There's a retro. I saw
Real
Centipede
arcade.
and Street Fighter
That's
2.
right.
Oh yeah, it's super cool.
Coin operated, free play, baby.
And the Slowpoke personal station.
And the Slowpoke. Well, I already said that.
That's good stuff.
So the
man.
danger about the arcade is I might pay to get in, have one beer, and then spend the entire time in the retro arcade because
No, I mean,
The arcade got a slow start, and because people were too busy drinking beer, and I walked in there, no one was playing the arcade yet. Now everyone's had a few beers.
Yeah,
they're playing the
exactly.
arcades. Yeah. I was a little worried. I was like, guys,
that's actually genius. Like once they have a few in them and they're feeling it, they're like, now it's arcade time. Get out of the way, play the arcade game.
Good stuff, man. Well, no matter what you want to do, this at a beer festival, this has got it. There's food out back. There's tacos. There's some roll-up sandwiches. There's slow pour pilsner. There's stouts. There's juicy beers. There's an arcade, roadie rolls. So there's it's just a really great festival. We had a good time last year. We're having a good time this year. So most of the time when we have a brewer on, we ask if people want to know what's going on with your brewery, where do they follow that? But if we have a brewer listening that wants to get on the scene here in Georgia and they want to see if Modern Hops is the right fit for them, how do they get in touch with you guys?
Just call myself, Eric, or Michael.
That's right. All of our emails are our name plus modernhops.com. So Michael, Philip, Eric, and Barrett. Feel free to reach out to us. And
Website's
also,
modernhops.com.
Yeah,
you see all that stuff.
Facebook and Instagram. We're very active on social media, so feel free to send us a direct message or a private message, and we will respond shortly. We'd love to have you guys down here, make this festival bigger and better for next year.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to take a break, but we'll be back very soon. We're going to talk with Jerry Nelson from Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave.
As a brewery owner or taproom manager, are you looking for ways to enhance your customer experience while maximizing your revenues? Craft Cellar is a mobile solution that helps your brewery drive sales and attract new customers through online pre-sales for beer releases, events, and memberships. Get details now at craftcellar.com. Mention Beer Guys Radio after sign up and extend your free trial to a full 30 days. Remember, craftcellar.com, craftcellr.com.
Is your brewery or restaurant flooring looking a little worse for wear? Your foundation needs to be protected from heat, chemicals, and other contaminants. At the same time, you need something slip-resistant yet cleanable with soap and water. ResTech has been manufacturing poured-in-place flooring since 2002 and offers a variety of solutions for your facility's needs. If your floor needs a little TLC, stop by our booth at the Craft Brewers Conference in Denver or visit our website at restech.net. That's res-tek.net.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Oh, God, here we go again. Dork alert.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons can get some cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. And now back to some hot Brewfest talk with Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave at The Juice Strikes Back.
Jerry Nelson with Une Annee, Hubbard's Cave. Thank you for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We are drinking the beers that you're pouring today. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have on at the festival?
Yeah, we got the Hubbard's Cave One Hop Citra Double IPA. We make this super fresh, and we try to get it out to our distributors as soon as it's made. I think they brought this in about a week after we were able to package it, which is about as fast as you're going to get into a new market.
Sure, yeah. It's tasting really good. That's what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this is, it's got a little bit of oats, a little wheat, a lot of Citra hops in it, and, we ferment it with a kind of hazy yeast strain. But we do we have a centrifuge, so we rough filter it.
Tasty beer. And I'm drinking a little sour beer here. What have I got?
Yeah, we've got that one is Le Grand Monde 2018-12. That one was we had some barrel-aged Creek, and we took some of that, and at the end of the year we always like to have like a dark sour for our membership program. We also so we took that and we were like, well, let's blend it with a little bit of a barrel-aged accident in Hubbard's Cave, which is our Hubbard's Cave Imperial Stout, just without any adjuncts added into it, and then we topped it off with just a little bit of vanilla, so kind of got sort of a cordial cherry note to it, and I think it turned out great.
Very nice. I like it a lot. Absolutely.
The cherry aroma, and that's really, really nice. I really enjoyed that when I had my pour.
Well, Jerry, something that confused me until recently, I'll admit, and I will give credit to the Chicago Tribune. They did a wonderful article on your brewery there that we read as we were researching for the show today. For a while, I was kind of unsure on the separation of Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave. And when I'd ask somebody, they're just like, one's clean, one's sour, and that's all I'd hear. That would be it. So
that's the easy way.
That's the easy way, right? But you have a very interesting story, one of perseverance, and I'm guessing a little bit of stubbornness.
And roller coaster, yeah.
Yeah, so can you give us just a brief background of kind of how you ended up where you are and the difference in Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave?
Well, we started out as just Une Annee, and initially we were focusing on Belgian-style beers, but we were trying to do a little bit of clean American IPAs. We didn't do a lot of stouts at that time when we first started in 2013. We were doing a bunch of beers under the Une Annee brand. It was mostly saisons and Belgian Abbey-style ales. And so that after about a year or so, we were not doing very well, as far financially. We decided to diversify, and we started getting into the sour ales, and that definitely helped us up, And we at that time we were just distributor only, so we didn't have a tap room. We didn't self-distribute any of our beers, and that was another thing that, in hindsight, that hurt me. I really should have probably thought about that a little bit more. After a little while, we were also doing a one IPA called Hop Surge under the Une Annee brand, and a lot of people were kind of confused about what if that was a sour beer, or if that was a Belgian IPA when they were drinking it. And I had to consistently tell people that it was not a Belgian beer. So that kind of one of the reasons that we started the Hubbard's Cave brand. We wanted to differentiate Belgian-style beers from what we were doing that were non-Belgian style beers. So the Hubbard's Cave is focuses on stouts and IPAs.
And if I remember correctly, that was also a little bit of a way to allow you some freedom for self-distribution on that brand, correct? That was
a way of. Yeah, I was having a little bit of trouble with one of our distributors, and they own the rights to the brand Une Annee, so they did not own the rights to a new brand at that time. So we were able to kind of get around the system a little bit right there, and it caused some contention, but I was able to stay in business.
So self-distribution was kind of key to being financially viable, right, for your brewery. Is that a correct statement?
For somebody that didn't have a tap room, you cannot, you're only reliant on a distributor in your home market. If you don't have self-distribution, you're almost dead. So, and I was many times really close to being dead in those first 2 years. So, I think if we had had a tap room and we were able to sell directly to customers, the distribution model was probably hurting us, but it would have not caused us to be close to dead, a number of times.
Yeah, and that's something that, as I think here in Georgia, our breweries can't self-distribute. So it's something we did just get direct sales a couple of years ago, and it's made a huge change for small breweries opening tap rooms and doing direct sales out of there, because, like you said, when you're stuck to a distribution-only model, and no tap room sells, it's very hard to make any money under that. And there's a popular graphic that goes around that uses a beer bottle as sort of a pseudo pie chart that shows who gets what percentage of a dollar. And I think it's the brewer gets 8 cents of every dollar that goes into a beer if they're distributing that.
Right, yes. I mean, I think it was definitely, by choice, I sort of, right off the bat, chose essentially the Georgia model. I didn't have a tap room. I couldn't get one in the location that I was at, and I went with a distributor. So I was taking the lowest margin I could possibly get. So, yeah, it took a while, but then I was like, well, I gotta try this other thing, or else I'm gonna be closing my doors.
And you hung in there and made it work, though, right?
Yeah, we did, and and then about a year later, we were able to work on getting a tap room open. So we opened our tap room early 2017. So about 3.5 years after we opened our first, poured our first beer.
Perseverance. So I have a really important question. I need to know if Hubbard's Cave, if the name comes from a tunnel in Chicago or an endangered bat cave in Tennessee, because I will accept the answer both, but I'm kind of rooting for endangered bat cave.
I haven't heard of the bat cave at all, but we used to be right on Hubbard Street in Chicago. So we were right down the road from there's an overpass on the highway in Chicago called Hubbard's Cave. Or it's referred to as Hubbard's Cave. The trains overpass the road. And there used to be a lot of accidents in it because they didn't have lighting, so they used to call it the Hubbard's Cave.
People would drive in there, and it would go dark, and then their eyes would adjust, and they'd come into the light, and they couldn't see because it was so bright, and then they'd run into cars.
Are you disappointed that we didn't go into further endangered bat talk here?
Yeah, there are two. So there's a cave in Tennessee, and I really want it to be named after that. There's 2 endangered bat species in that cave, and it's kind of it's some sort of ecological significant thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope it's named after this cave in Tennessee because that's amazing.
Jerry, Hubbard Caves has some real interesting naming conventions on your beers. You've got V7, V23 in that. Can you kind of explain to us how that worked?
Well, I kind of look at a lot of our brands as more of we don't get into a lot of the crazy names. We don't want to do that. We don't. I don't know. I think that's fun for a lot of people. I think we want our beers to speak for themselves. It's basically just on the taste and the aroma, basically.
I really appreciate the forthcoming and the honesty in what I see it on tap. You show a lot of times the fresh by date, and you show exactly which hops go into it. No extra frills. And as a guy who enjoys beer, wants it fresh, I really like that. I can see in the name of the beer when it was fresh, when it was meant to be consumed.
Right. I mean, we only put about a 2-month window on our fresh by dates. So we want to try to have them. We knew that as soon as we were getting into double IPAs, we wanted people to be drinking them as quick as possible, and so we tell them when it was bottled and when it was when you should be drinking it by. And 3 months is really not the window that you should be drinking an IPA by.
So much debate over that, but I agree. There's so many that after about that 30-day mark, you can definitely tell a difference there. Sure enough. Well, Jerry, we're about to run out. We're actually going to eat some, I believe it's a sorbet made with your beer from a local ice cream place, Butter and Cream. So we're going to try that and pair it up with your beer.
That sounds good.
But if people want to keep up with what is happening at Une Annee and Hubbard's Cave, what's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah, we're doing a lot more Instagram these days. I think that is the primary source. We start off on Instagram and we bring it over to Facebook, the same post essentially. So Instagram is our top, source for our knowledge.
Excellent. Jerry, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Coming up next week, we're going to be at Tiny Palooza in Snellville, Georgia. That's a tradition for Beer Guys Radio Show. For more great craft beer info, follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.
The Beer Guys Radio Show on the Beer Guys Radio Network. BeerGuysRadio.com.